is where MAGA comes to talk. Now, you may hear some rain and wind. I'm in Florida, South Florida, and I am due east right now of the hurricane, all right? So there's a lot of wind going on. I'm on my back porch. The rains are just starting to come in. So let's talk a little bit about the big hurricane, which is the MAGA wave of victory that is going to sweep America and bring Donald Trump back to the White House. I mean, you know, it is so historic what we're going through, right? To have a president come back for a non-consecutive term has only happened once, and nobody was alive then when it happened. So this is really historic. I'm excited, and you should be too. And I mean, how can you not be excited? You know how exciting it's going to be for President Trump to walk back in that Oval Office? Oh, man. I hope that President Trump has someone come and live stream when he's walking back into the Oval Office. Don't you guys? It's going to be a beautiful thing. So Kamala Harris, I was reading something someone wrote earlier, and it was amazing. They said it was so accurate. They said Kamala's silence is hurting her campaign, but when she speaks, it's even worse than the silence. And there's no doubt about it. I mean, this interview she did with Stephanie Rule on MSNBC last night was just devastating for Kamala Harris. And, none of these interviews have done anything but hurt her. And the more... Can you hear? That's right. The rain bands are coming in. Oh, yes. And the winds are blowing in strange directions. That's right. Yeah, rain's really coming down. I was going to live stream out of my front yard outside, and it started raining. I was like, well, back porch for me. So we're getting a lot of new polls have been coming in all week long, and all the polls have been showing Trump winning, okay? And right now, Rasmussen, which is one of the most credible polls out there. Yeah, that's my wife, Main Street Moments. The Hurricane Helene is directly 250 miles west of me, or I'm directly 250 miles east of the hurricane, and this is the weather being that far away from it. Can you imagine what it's like over there where they're getting the hurricane directly? Holy smokes. But if you look at all the polls, not just Rasmussen, you look at all the polls, and Trump's not only ahead in all the polls, the trend is in Trump's favor, and the trend is in Trump's favor by a lot. Rasmussen just posted on X. This is Rasmussen. You can go to Rasmussen Reports on X and read this yourself. This is the official Rasmussen X account. Election 2024, Trump maintains lead over Harris. For the third consecutive week, Donald Trump holds a lead over Kamala Harris in the race for the White House. Third consecutive week. And, yeah, I know, it's absolutely amazing. And if you go through all the polls, which I've been doing all week long, and not only is he ahead in all of them, the trend in all the polls is always in Trump's favor. Oh, I'm sure it's Rasmussen, you know. And right now, today, Biden, in the same poll, Rasmussen, Joe Biden has a 54% disapproval rating. Disapproval rating. Okay, so that means Kamala Harris has a 54% disapproval rating while she's running. And, you know, it's that way for a lot of reasons, okay? But I don't have to go through a list of the problems, inflation, out of control, everything. But the trend has been in Trump's favor for some time now. And it's really gone in Trump. It was always in Trump's favor, but the polls have started to show how much it's in Trump's favor since she did that interview with Dana Bash a while back. And that was the beginning of the honeymoon for Kamala. Now, I wanted to play this for you. Let me cue this up. Kamala Harris, her campaign put out a commercial of former Trump voters that are now voting for Kamala, right? And let me cue this up, and I'll play this for you.
Bob and I both voted for Donald Trump.
I voted for him twice. I won't vote for him again. January 6th was a wake-up call for me.
Donald Trump divides people. We've already seen what he has to bring.
He didn't do anything to help us. Kamala Harris, she cares about the American people. I think she's got the wherewithal to make a difference. I've never voted for a Democrat.
Yes, we're both lifelong Republicans.
The choice is very simple.
I'm voting for Kamala.
I am voting for Kamala Harris.
Okay, that's an official Kamala Harris campaign ad. Well, if you go online to wokespy.com, which is, it's like what the Drudge Report used to be back in the 90s, they're actors. A new Kamala Harris campaign ad, which 2 ex-Republican voters claim they were turned off by January 6th and are now voting Democrat for the first time in their life, are paid actors. Paid actors. That's insane. Yeah. And they... not only are they paid actors, they're professional actors. In a movie, Hayride to Hell from 2022, which is a horror film, okay, they're in that. They're like in movies. Oh, my goodness. And they donate to the Democrats. They're dim donors. They're professional actors, they're paid actors, and they're dim donors. I mean, my goodness. I mean, listen to the beginning. They're not the best of actors, but they're actors.
Bob and I both voted for Donald Trump.
I voted for him twice. I won't vote for him again.
I mean, you know, it's just like if you were watching me this morning, that guy that called me from Pennsylvania was telling me he's MAGA, but Trump's this and Trump's that, and all these crazy things about Trump. You know, this is the first time this happened to Kamala. Remember when she did that thing with the kids about the space program a year or two ago, a couple years back, and they were actors too? I think they hired Canadian actors, if I remember correctly, but they were actors, they were child actors. When I see something like this, which obviously is going to be exposed online in no time, you got to ask yourself, is Kamala being sabotaged by people inside her campaign? I mean, how could, in this day and age, with social media, the internet, everything gets fact-checked by citizen journalists, who would try to pull something off like this? Wouldn't you assume that they would get found out? And let me ask you this. I'm not a lawyer. This is an official campaign ad for Kamala Harris. It doesn't say anything in this ad about these people being actors. Is that a campaign finance violation? Campaign finance violation, that's a federal crime, isn't it? I mean, is that against the law, what they did? Don't they have to disclose that? Yeah, I think they do. To me, it's too insane to think you're not going to get caught. In this day and age, you would just assume you would get caught, wouldn't you? I don't know. This is, by the way, you remember talking about the angel water purifier I have in the house? This is from the angel water purifier. Oh, man. I've been drinking a lot more water since we had that. No, it's not vodka. It is purified water. From my new sponsor, Angel Water. Look them up online, angelwater.com. They just installed the water purification system on Tuesday. The ice cubes, too, yeah. The ice cubes, too, Lisa. All the water in the house goes through the water purifier. The ice cubes, the sink, the dishwasher, the showers, the bathtubs, the toilets, everything. Yeah. I mean, how often do you see me drinking water? It tastes like, I compare it to the Fiji water, except it's I don't have to buy those expensive bottles. And let me make sure I get their website right. Hold on. I'll give you guys the number. Yeah, angelwater.com. And you can give them a call at, let me give you the number. I don't have the number memorized because they just joined us. 561-899-6585. 561-899-6585. And online, angelwater.com. Okay, give them a call. Make sure that you tell them I sent you. And they'll send Rocky out to your house who will test your water like he did us. Oh, my goodness. I couldn't believe it was underwater. Okay, so I went to the post office today and mailed some things. I mailed out some Mighty Manga Lions, but mailed some other things too. And they were they have like stamp books, and they actually had a stamp book of John Lewis, and which I took a look at. I got to meet John Lewis once, and he was a freedom rider with Martin Luther King. And John Lewis fought against the Democrat segregation, fought against Democrat Jim Crow and all of that. And the Democrats, of course, remember, the party of basically everything that the left tell you America needs to apologize for was brought to you by the Democrats. Slavery, segregation, the Tuskegee experiment, the internment of Americans of Japanese descent. If the left want America to apologize for it, it was brought to you by the Democrats. Even the killing of the Indians during the Indian Wars, Andrew Jackson, right, Democrat. And it's true. And Martin Luther King and other Republicans, because he was a Republican, they fought against the Democrats to end segregation. And Tim Walz is actually not only a segregationist. Tim Walz, Kamala Harris's running mate. You haven't heard too much from him lately. He's been lying low. Tim Walz, actually as governor, has brought segregation back in Minnesota. Listen to this. That's it. Yeah. Kamala, this is in the Gateway Pundit, okay? Kamala Harris's running mate, Democrat governor of Minnesota, Tim Walz's administration, that's him, has held multiple racially segregated events. In the latest example, Minnesota State Library Services, which is part of Tim Walz's administration, is holding an event in October exclusively for Black, Indigenous, and people of color BIPOC librarians. No white librarians are allowed. That's right. And they got an ad here. Minnesota BIPOC library workers pre-conference joined the Minnesota State Library Services BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, People of Color Library Advisory Group for a day of professional development and network building designed specifically for Black, Indigenous, and people of color who are library workers in Minnesota. In-person registration for this event has closed, but we've been delighted for you to join us virtually. And they have all the information here. Yeah, here's a sign-up form for this very racist event, which, by the way, has got to be probably illegal. Allows those seeking to attend the program to select from an assortment of races and sexualities to describe themselves. But heterosexual and white are notably missing from the options available. This is the sign-up for the event. Black, these are the different choices you got to check to join. Black, African American or African, Indigenous, Native American, Alaska Native, Latinx, Hispanic, Native Hawaiian or Pacific Islander, biracial, multi-ethnic, LGBTQIA+. The next one just says immigrant, BIPOC rural librarian worker, BIPOC urban library worker. Okay. In 2022, Tim Walz, the Department of Education, held restorative justice trainings and sessions for educators where participants were explicitly divided by race. The Free Beacon reports that between September 2022 and June 2023, Tim Walz's Department of Veterans Affairs held a series of training sessions advertised to non-white veterans as part of its diversity, equity, and inclusion in ending veterans' homelessness work group. White homeless veterans, you stay homeless. You're not welcome. A filler for the session said, a flyer. A flyer for the session said the group was created for homeless veterans who identify as BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, People of Color, LGBTQIA+, and or women. A straight white male veteran could attend, but only if he were doing so as a stakeholder or ally to a non-white, non-straight, or female veteran. What's crazy about this to me is that to leftists, this all makes sense, okay? But it is segregation, and segregation is illegal especially when it's done by government agencies. So all of these things that they do are 100% illegal. Now, I think, is it Tuesday is the debate? Next week is the debate with Tim Walz and J.D. Vance. So that should be good. He's got too much to bring up. I don't know if he can get involved in this or not because there's so much. But the events are definitely illegal. How do liberals process this? And, I mean, if he really believed all this, wouldn't he step down so a BIPOC, Indigenous, Alaskan Native or something could be the governor of Minnesota instead of himself? It seems that Tim Walz, he's not walking the walk. Welcome, everyone. If you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. And everyone who's sub, please like the video. Now, did you see Carrie Lake's daughter was attacked by a deranged leftist? Did you see this? Yeah, at Arizona State University. Turning Point Action, which is Charlie Kirk's organization. Turning Point Action yesterday held a Greek voter registration event, which apparently was pretty large and outnumbered the Democrat voter registration event on the campus. This seemingly triggered the liberal students, leading to an incident where Carrie Lake's daughter says, quote, "A crazed leftist threw a drink at me and ran off," unquote. Wow. You know, first off, I mean, that's assault. You know, if you throw a drink at someone, first of all, depending on the size of the drink, is there ice in it? You know, I mean, this is a drink. This is a glass bottle. If I threw this at you throw a big gulp or something, it's filled with ice and soda, you could hurt somebody with that if it's hard enough. But it doesn't matter if it hurts them or not. It is an assault. It is a crime. Were they drinking from it? Do they have their germs and everything in it? Are they sick? You could I mean, it's just the whole thing about it. But it's a crime to do that. Carrie Lake's daughter posted photos of herself soaked in the perpetrator's drink on X, commenting, "This is the left. They know we are winning this election, and it scares them. Get up and vote Trump." And, of course, for her mother, if you're in Arizona, Carrie Lake. Her mother, Carrie Lake, agreed and posted on X, "They know that thousands of kids at every university are registering Republican. They, the Democrats," this is Carrie Lake, "they know they are losing the young vote because young Americans know their future is on the line, and it's the America First Republican Party that wants to make their future great again," unquote. It is an assault. And it's disgusting, too. You know, and where's the media on this? You know, there's been so many stories this week that the media just are not covering. This is one of them. Could you imagine if Kamala Harris's weirdo stepdaughter with all the tattoos, if a MAGA person threw a drink at her, what would happen? Or one of her non-white nieces or nephews, what would happen? It would be the country would stop. It would be like Donald Trump did it. They would demand Donald Trump and J.D. Vance apologize for it, denounce it, and everything else. This covered up. Nowhere. The Gateway Pundit, just like that story yesterday. See, this is the hurricane. See, when the hurricanes come, see, I'm 250 miles due east of the hurricane. The hurricane is 250 miles this way, and what happens, you see those bands on the radar on TV? You get bands of wind, bands of rain, and then between the bands, you get like calm weather. So another band just came through. But if a MAGA person did that, it would be just as if Donald Trump did it. But the other story that no one's covered is that audio clip I played yesterday of Kamala Harris coming out in favor of the legalization of prostitution. I mean, it's bad enough for anyone to say that, but in particular a woman who's running around acting like she's the defender of women's rights. And other than me, I don't think anyone covered that story yesterday. And I thought for sure that story would get a lot of coverage. Didn't you? Absolutely. Now, Melania talked about what Barron did when President Trump was shot. Listen.
Your son is in college, I understand, but he's still your child. This is his father. How difficult was that to have that conversation?
Very difficult. Very difficult. He was outside playing sport, and he rushed in, and was very, very difficult.
Yeah, I bet it was. Could you imagine? They come out and tell you that your dad's been shot. How many of you were watching it live when that Dem donor shot President Trump? How many of you saw it live? Yeah. Yep. Oh, I was crying too. What you guys? I mean, I'm not embarrassed to say it. My wife was too. It was scary. It's scary because it happens and you feel powerless, right? You can't do anything to help. Yeah. I know. Well, I mean, we've had 3 confirmed assassination attempts in the last, 5-6 weeks? Pennsylvania, the golf course shooter here in Florida, and then the Iranian plot. It was interesting. I haven't heard anybody ask him about ducking. Because what I've wondered is, was he trained to duck like that, or did he just do it naturally? Oh, it was terrible. That wasn't the first time Trump made me cry. The first time I cried, I was definitely crying then. I was really scared. It was really scary. How many of you cried when he came out at the convention after he got shot? But, the first time I got teary-eyed for Trump is when he got COVID. He left the White House on Marine One, and they flew him to Walter Reed. I thought that we were going to lose him. They flew him out with no notice. It was an emergency, and I thought, they could bring everything to him. For them to fly him out on Marine One, that was scary, wasn't it? When they flew him to the hospital with COVID, and then he did that drive-by in front of the hospital. That was amazing. Of course, the media hated him for it. They were accusing him of infecting the Secret Service agents. Remember that? With that, oh my goodness. Yep. But that's it. So Tim Walz, you see, we're going to start hearing more about Tim Walz because the debate's next week with him and J.D. Vance. And this video came out of this guy, Tim Walz, appointed this nutcase. Don Jr. tweeted this to oversee the ethnic studies program in Minnesota. right? Listen to this. This is the person that Tim Walz chose to head the Minnesota Ethnic Studies for all the schools of Minnesota. Listen to this guy.
And we're also sometimes lying on ourselves when people say, like, oh, we use critical race theory in school. We don't use critical race theory in school. The first tenet of critical race theory is that the United States as constructed is irreversibly racist.
What? Really? The United States is... Did he say the United States is irreversibly racist? Is that what he said?
We don't use critical race theory in school. The first tenet of critical race theory is that the United States as constructed is irreversibly racist. So if the nation state as constructed is irreversibly racist, then it must be done with. It must be overthrown, right? And so we can't be like, oh no, critical race theory is just about telling our stories and diverse. It's not about that. It's about overthrow. It's insurgent. And we need to be, I think, more honest with that. And it's funny that they don't understand critical race theory, but they actually tell some truth when they're like, yeah, it is anti-state. You can't be a critical race theorist and be pro-U.S. Okay, it is an anti-state theory that says the United States needs to be deconstructed, period, right? Like that's, and so I think it's an interesting argument there, and that's why I'm a critical race theorist.
Wow, that's why he's a critical race theorist, because he thinks America cannot be repaired, that it needs to be deconstructed. Now, if the United States were deconstructed, how's this jackass going to live, right? He makes a living preaching this racist crap, okay? It's this critical race theory. It's an interesting thing. It's racism. It's anti-white racism. That's exactly what it is, 100%. And somehow they've turned it into a science. He calls himself a critical race theorist. Joy Reid talks about critical race theorist. So, so Tim Walz appointed a guy to oversee the ethnic studies for all the schools of Minnesota, who wants the United States to be deconstructed. Now, isn't that an insurrectionist? It sounds like an insurrectionist to me. Right? If you're calling for the United States to be deconstructed, you're calling to tear down the whole country. That's got to be an insurrectionist. How else would you do it? So Tim Walz has appointed not just a racist, but an insurrectionist who wants to deconstruct all of the United States to a state-level job overseeing an education system in Minnesota. Oh, my goodness. Wouldn't it be something if Minnesota went for Trump? Is it at all possible? Because I just, everything I hear out of Minnesota is people in Minnesota that we hear from feel like they're being held hostage. And maybe we're going to have a massive turnout in Minnesota of Republican vote. If Minnesota went Trump, that would be beautiful. That's a lot to ask for, but But you know what? In 2000, if I remember correctly, if I could be wrong about this, guys, but in 2000, didn't George W. Bush win Al Gore's state of Tennessee? I think that, for some reason, I think Al Gore lost his home state of Tennessee in 2000. I could be wrong about that, but that sounds familiar. I would love to lose. I would love for Tim Walz to lose Minnesota and to go to Trump. That would be a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. Now, if you're new to my channel, my name's Brian. This is where MAGA comes to talk. Here's Jean-Pierre today.
Thank you, Trey. Our new CBS News poll found that registered voters in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania believe that they would be financially better off if Trump wins.
Don't you love this? This is the White House press conference today. This is great.
Thank you, Trey. Our new CBS News poll found that registered voters in Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania believe that they would be financially better off if Trump wins. How do you explain that?
All right, bye everybody. Thank you.
She walked off the stage. She walked right out of the briefing room. She didn't even respond. She left the briefing room with that question. And CBS hates Trump. That's insane. I don't think I've ever seen that before. I don't think I have ever seen that before. CBS ran Jean-Pierre out of her own briefing room. Oh, man. Well, the mics are built into the podium, so, you know. Now, one of the reasons that Trump is doing so well, many reasons, but one of them, of course, is the southern border and the crime. And, you know, Colorado, I know we have a lot of people that watch me in Colorado. You know, Colorado's under attack by these very bad Venezuelan gang members. Here's a story from the local news in Colorado.
Here's what we're learning from ICE. So take a look at your screen. This is Naudi Lopez Fernandez. He's 21 years old, and he is a citizen of Venezuela. ICE confirms that he did enter the U.S. illegally last year, and since then has been arrested for criminal behavior 4 times in Colorado and in Kansas.
Okay, this guy here was one of the illegals that took part in taking over that apartment complex in Aurora, Colorado.
He was encountered by U.S. Border Patrol last year near Eagle Pass, was arrested, and then later released. He is in ICE custody tonight. And you take a look here. This is Nefred Zerpa Acosta. He's 20 years old and is also a citizen of Venezuela. He's been in the U.S. at least 2 years now and was encountered by Border Patrol in Texas back in 2022, arrested, and then later released. He was facing local charges in Larimer and Douglas counties, with an immigration judge ordering Zerpa to be removed back in May, and then he was placed under supervision. Now, unlike those other 2 suspects we just went over who do have criminal histories and have been arrested, ICE does not have any information on this man, Anderson Zambrano Pacheco. However, he is still one of the suspects identified in that viral video. All 3 of these men are facing felony charges tonight. So let's get into that viral video. It shows armed men forcing their way into an Aurora apartment. APD now confirms it's actually connected to a deadly shooting that happened 10 minutes after this video was recorded. This has really taken the nation by storm right now, as immigration has become a hot button issue during...
Okay, and you know, the thing about these guys, they went in with rifles, and it looked like axes, and I was surprised they weren't wearing masks. At least most of them weren't. And they, you know, cameras are everywhere today. They're totally fearless that nothing's going to happen to them. They've been in these gangs for so long. Just totally fearless. They're not even wearing a mask, because that's how they roll in Venezuela. They have no worries. I mean, this is like ISIS. These are some bad guys. Oh, it's going to be great when Trump comes back in. You know, now... You know, we're doing very well with the young vote. I mean, you know, we talk about this a lot. And one of the big heroes of this entire election season is Charlie Kirk. You know, Charlie Kirk has just been doing amazing work at the college campuses. That story I talked about earlier, that was at Arizona State University. That was a Charlie Kirk event. This is the same event yesterday at Arizona State University. Charlie Kirk ran into a kid who is from China, and he's a Chinese national. He's not a U.S. citizen. He can't vote. Listen to this exchange he had with Charlie Kirk.
Why are you voting for Trump?
I can't vote. I'm out. I'm not from here, but like I'm from China. Initially, we fled China. I'm an asylum, actually.
But would you vote for Trump if you could?
Yes, of course.
What's your message for Americans that don't understand
Don't
tyranny?
vote for socialism. Yeah!
It's amazing how many Americans want socialism, isn't it?
I mean, that's what Chinese people wanted, and look what happened. And now, you know, it's about to happen to us. So we fled here, and we wanted this place to not be like China. Don't vote like what China happened. Don't let that happen. Exactly.
And that's why we had to vote for Trump.
Exactly, yeah.
What's your name?
I'm Jeff.
Nice to meet you, man. God bless you. Why are you voting for Trump?
I mean, isn't that amazing? It's absolutely amazing what has happened to that. Why do you think young people, the college-age kids, which are Gen Z, why do you think Gen Z is so MAGA? Is it Trump? Is it Charlie Kirk? Is it both? Is it just Trump? Is it Charlie Kirk? What do you think's going on here? You know, I know a lot of people say, well, they want an American first future. For a Republican, that's not it. for a Republican to have the youth vote in numbers like this is unheard of. I don't know what it is. And Arizona State University is that one of the most, years ago, one of the most liberal schools in the country. Oh, yeah. The millennials are lost, but Gen Z's MAGA. Yeah. I mean, the millennials are, AOC, Mayor Pete, but the Gen Z, there's been just a huge MAGA movement, And it's an interesting thing because a lot of the Democrats' ground game is the college vote. And they've lost so much of the college vote to Trump. And I don't think they realize it yet. I really don't. I don't think the Democrats are self-aware at all at the level of how bad things have gotten here. Now, this here is something. This is from Jean-Pierre earlier this week about the gun issue. In the debate, Kamala Harris lied. With all her arrogance, she looked at Trump. Stop lying. Stop lying. Tim Walz and I are gun owners. We're not taking anyone's gun. I can believe that Tim Walz is a gun owner, I can believe that because he goes around pretending like he's a manly man when he's really just a Marxist soy boy. But I don't believe that Kamala Harris owns a gun, and no one's called her out on it. A reporter asked Jean-Pierre about this in the press briefing earlier this week.
What kind of gun does the vice president have, and when did she buy it?
That's something for her office to speak to.
The reason I'm asking is because you have this event today, but the VP, as district attorney, sponsored Proposition H in 2005, would have banned handguns within San Francisco city limits and required that residents turn in the handguns that they already own by a certain deadline or face mandatory jail time. But she's out on the campaign trail now saying that she's a proud gun owner and is not going to take away your guns. So can the White House get us an answer on that? Because she hasn't, and her campaign officials also haven't answered that question, even on television.
Okay, now, does anyone believe that Kamala owns a gun? I don't.
Look, a couple of things here. When it comes to the VP and owning a gun, she can speak for herself. The campaign could speak for that. Her office can speak for that. That's for them to speak to. It is not there is no conflict here when we're saying that we want to see responsible gun ownership.
Okay, responsible gun ownership. Yeah, only the government can have them, like in Cuba, in China. The question isn't about gun control. She said she's a gun owner, Kamala. Does she own a gun or not? I say no. I say no. That's right. Bought and paid for. You talking about Jean-Pierre? Jean-Pierre is... I will not miss her when she's no longer in office. Now, what do you guys think about Mayor Adams? I saw his press conference today. How pathetic. He's trying to make himself a victim of racial oppression. He's being prosecuted by the Biden Justice Department, and everyone knows there's nothing Adams did that all the Democrats aren't doing, but he called out the Biden administration over dumping the illegals in New York, and that was it. As soon as he did that, they started going after him. This is a clip of the prosecutor.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for gathering.
Mayor Adams,
My name is Damian Williams, and I'm a United States Attorney here in the Southern District of New York. Today we are announcing...
Damian Williams. Does anyone remember who Damian Football Williams was from the LA riots? I don't think this is the same Damian Williams. Do you think Damian Football Williams turned out like this? You never know. You never know.
Thank you for gathering. My name is Damian Williams, and I'm a United States Attorney here in the Southern District of New York. Today we are announcing campaign finance, bribery, and conspiracy charges against Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City. As the indictment alleges, Mayor Adams engaged in a long-running conspiracy in which he solicited and knowingly accepted illegal campaign contributions from foreign donors and corporations.
Just like Biden does.
As we allege, Mayor Adams took these contributions even though he knew they were illegal. And even though he knew these contributions were attempts by a Turkish government official and Turkish businessmen to buy influence with him. We also allege that the mayor sought and accepted well over $100,000 in luxury travel benefits from some of the same foreign actors who arranged many of the illegal campaign contributions. These benefits included free international business class flights and opulent hotel rooms in foreign cities. The mayor had a duty to disclose these gifts on his annual public disclosure forms so that the public could see who was giving him what. But as we allege, year after year after year, he kept the public in the dark.
As alleged, the mayor's 2021 campaign falsely certified compliance with campaign finance laws in order to conceal those illegal campaign contributions, and as a result of those false certifications, received over $10 million in public matching funds.
Okay, 10 million. So Mayor Adams took $10 million in bribe and fake illegal foreign donations. Everyone knows. All the Democrats. What do you think this Zelensky stuff's about, right? Why is Biden sending so much more money to Ukraine? Because he just has this last window to, get his cut from the money. Remember that? The big guy gets, what's the big guy get? What did the laptop say, 10%? He's got to get, he's just got a few months left to keep getting his 10% cut. But Adams, he challenged dumping off the illegals, and that was a big deal. In fact, Adams helped turn the country in this direction against the illegals being dumped in these cities, and they know it, so they punished him for it. And you know what? He's going to go to prison. You think he's going to go to prison? I think he's going to prison. They're not going to make a deal with him. He's going to go to prison. No doubt about it. Absolutely. Of course Biden gets a cut. Are you kidding me? So does Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell walking through the halls of Congress with Zelensky. It's disgusting. Now, if you're new to my channel, make sure you subscribe. If you don't know me, my name's Brian Craig. I'm a radio talk show host and podcaster, and I live stream every morning on the radio, and when I'm on in the mornings, I take live calls. I'm in the radio studio. Now, I'm just on my back porch enjoying the afternoon. But this is most definitely where MAGA comes to talk. This is the most pro-Donald Trump space you will find anywhere. By the way, I don't know if you guys noticed, this is a Space Force shirt, kind of a takeoff of the Star Trek Next Generation. Space Force, make space great again. That's right, great shirt. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching, everyone. If you're new, subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, please do me the favor of liking the video. All right? My name is Brian. Thanks for watching.